And we're live. Welcome in to the second chapter of the Wayfarer's Guide to Haeth. I'm going to hand it over to our GM, Paula, and without further ado, take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm Paula. So before we jump back in, I'd like to have us introduce ourselves and our characters. So I'm Paula. My pronouns are she, her. You can find me at Art and Audio in Twitter. And I'll be playing Luna/Lula, who is the exile. Let's jump over to Anita.
Hi, I'm Anita, she, they, and I am playing Farley. Farley Weeps, our resident firelight, who is a tawny owl. Pronouns for Farley are he, they. I'm the channel runner for this show, so you can find me here most times. But I'm going to throw it down in the overlay to Vin.
Hi guys, I'm Vin, he, they, at VinVoxV on Twitter, and I'll be playing Hyacinth, the caretaker. And I'm going to slide it to Cosmo.
Hi everyone, I'm Cosmo. My pronouns are Fem. I am the Maelstrom Mind on Twitch and Maelstrom Minded on Twitter. I am playing Siobhan Tolley today. I am pronouns they, them. I am our dancer and I am a common green magpie. And then off to Danny.
Hey y'all, my name is Danny. You can find me on the internet at Brutal Dan. My pronouns are he, him, and today I'm playing Pudding, the axolotl peddler, and his pronouns are he, him as well.
Amazing. We have a very cute bunch of characters this evening that I'm very excited to revisit. But let's do a quick recap. Last episode, we found our group arriving slightly outside of their control in the town of Titan's Crossing, a large stone bridge held up by a frozen titan, littered with market stalls above and small and forgotten gods below. The group arrived when Poppy, the flying iridescent Hercules beetle, decided to drop onto one of the stalls, crushing it and sending fruit everywhere. After some apologizing, everyone set up their stands just in time for the night market. Luna began to set up and to attract customers. Co performed a dance and handed out pamphlets, attracting the attention of a small duckling. A small duckling child who joined in on the dance and was gifted a feather from Co. During this time, Pudding and Hyacinth snuck below the bridge to meet with Edna, the salamander priest below. The pair met the small and forgotten gods, a few lingering nearby, these fist-sized colored motes of light that turn into animals when the sun goes down. Then everyone rejoined back together under the extended wing of Poppy the beetle, where moments of kindness were shared and the group reflected on where their homes might be, sending Luna to sleep, sending Pudding to wonder, Co to reminisce, and Farley to flee. But now we see quite a different scene. We see a large city with towering spires and busy streets, through which a parade of seemingly endless lines of twinkling lights move through the streets. The Firefly parade rolls through the barrow, and a young Co watches on, enraptured by their lights. In this flashback, Co, what do you look like?
So in this flashback, Co is a lot more muted in colors, a lot more nervous about everything, very pulled in, very nervous. The jewelry is not there, the flashy clothing's not there. They look like they're much more used to trying to blend in, trying to sort of hide, not wanting to be the center of attention, a very different kind of Co. And sort of that like awkward fledgling, I don't really know how to move my limbs right yet.
And you look on as the Firefly parade moves through, and it's really mostly fireflies, but you actually see a handful of individuals every 5 bugs or so holding up their own light sources, lanterns meant to mimic the firefly's light, and you just see this river of light move as far as the eye can see in both directions.
So Co is absolutely enamored by this, and sort of looking on as though they've never seen anything like this. And even though they have seen this many times, this festival is every year, something about it feels different this year, as though something's missing in Co's life. And there's just these couple of moments where they start to whistle a tune and just stop. It brings tears, it brings that withdrawn sense of self. But for the first time, as they're sort of looking up and watching the fireflies and watching the people carrying these lights, something that they hadn't really noticed before. They focused on the fireflies so much every year that this just didn't click. And without really thinking about it, they start to kind of like wedge into the actual parade route out of the crowd. And being very small at the time, as far as, just small in comparison to everyone else, but also compared to themselves, they sort of slip into the parade route and underfoot of the few people who are actually walking with. And they're just sort of trying to like flutter little bits as though they want to be one of the fireflies.
As you're moving with the flow of the parade, something just rushes past you and sort of flits away for a second and then comes back, almost like weaving itself through the parade, but then would circle back and go back again, kind of doing this figure eight as the parade moves. And you see as the figure slows down just enough to catch a glimpse of it, just a bit smaller than yourself, a hummingbird dancer has been weaving in and out of the crowd, wearing a flowing red to pink cloak that is sort of like moves with its own energy as she spins around and weaves again through this parade, being one of the only members in the parade besides yourself not carrying a light.
Co is immediately locked on this hummingbird and watching, like, they watch her do the figure eight a couple times before they start to try and mimic this and start trying to follow the steps, follow the movements, and even take like a little like shred of cloth to try and make it move the way that her cape does, and trying really hard to be like this hummingbird. There's something about it that just made everything click, and so much of that nervousness, that withdrawn sense of self starts to fade away, and Co starts to like open their wings a little bit and sway and move, and they're not good at this dancing thing at all, but they're really trying, and they start trying to get like closer and closer to the hummingbird without disrupting the dance.
You make a valiant attempt, but this hummingbird does not stand still. So as you try and move closer to the area that she is sort of circling, she ends up circling in a new area, not by intent of avoiding, but simply through the flow of the movement and the dance. And you can actually see just with how the turns and the spins and how this creature moves, you feel like maybe her feet aren't even touching the ground. You're not certain, but there's this sort of movement and flow through the air like she's riding an invisible current. And you think maybe you can get close enough if you can match the pattern of her dance.
So Co absolutely tries. Co focuses in on that and goes, okay, just like Mother taught, light feet, gentle breeze, slow move, and starts to like move their wings just a little bit and trying to be lighter on their feet instead of whole feet slapping down as they're moving, and starting to get a little bit better at the light steps, the movement, and really getting into that flow.
It's a struggle at first, but you start to reach a point as the parade has moved several blocks from your initial addition to it, you finally get to a point where maybe 3-4 steps are starting to align and you start to feel yourself fall away again, not knowing if not being sure enough of your feet to be able to get the next step in time. And then you feel 2 hands grab yours and just start spinning you. And you feel yourself almost being dragged, but with enough intent that you're able to keep up without falling, and you're being whisked around between people through lights and creatures, and fur and feathers are all over the place. You can barely see your dance partner.
Theo's just, there is that moment of panic because like, oh no, like who just touched me, who grabbed me, and almost like a moment of like brief trigger. But the second that like they start to spin, it all falls away. Everything falls away. Suddenly there is nothing but this hummingbird and the lights. And they start to sort of notice the way that the fireflies move in a rhythm too. And their perspective on the world as a whole just shifts. And suddenly everything is movement, everything is dance, everything is that flow.
And the hummingbird starts to feel you being more sure of your step and actually feeling the music as it moves through this parade and as it moves through everyone in it, and just starts adding extra moves now, twirling you, like sort of spinning you up and over into the air, allowing you to do the same with her. And not a word is exchanged. And finally, as you make it to the town center, which has the largest towering spire where the parade is meant to circle and everything kind of collect and congregate here at this end, you see that just for a moment you are placed down and you see her face for the first time, which is just a mess of red and black feathers. And you see a quick wink and gone.
Sio just sits there for a moment, and for the first time since, you know, they wandered out into the flow of the parade, they're still. They're not sure what to do now, because it's not that they needed the hummingbird for the steps, but suddenly they're like, wait, okay, but what do I do with myself? Everything's different now, somehow. Nothing has changed about me, but everything has changed about me. And they're sort of like looking around, and as the parade starts to circle that way, they just kind of start to nod to themselves a little bit and think about the hummingbird and think about the movements, and starts trying to do the dances again on their own.
And with that, we jump back to Titan's Crossing. It is early morning. The sun is just starting to rise over the bridge and the canyon beneath. And we see a sort of slapdash camp made underneath the wing of Poppy with a bunch of creatures sleeping. But who is the first to wake up?
I feel like it probably would be Sio. Sio's probably the most, I mean, like, Sio's very energetic and is probably the type to just get up and go in the morning. So they're probably getting up there, like getting themselves ready. They're getting like they're switching out their costume from the night before into something much more elaborate again in a different way. And they're pulling out this silvered scarf, and as they sort of wrap it around themselves, they look around to check that no one else is awake, and not thoroughly. So someone may or may not be awake, but they have a moment where they sort of sway and move in that figure eight while holding out the shawl to have it move with the wind. And they seem very at peace right now.
What is everyone else doing as they slowly come to consciousness?
I would like to assume that like all the patrons on Hyacinth's head is like awake far before like they are. So they might be just like slowly stirring, but like there's just pulls and jingles and jangles and what have you as the gods wake up.
And I think also there are these fist-sized motes of light, maybe like 2, that have haphazardly, like sort of cautiously approached your antlers and are sort of very cautiously kind of floating around. One of them like sort of bonks into one of the houses on hanging off your antlers just to see what would happen. And then like a little small and forgotten god comes out and they start like circling each other. I think that's occurring at the moment.
Farley is going to slowly rise to consciousness because Farley's also usually up the latest out of anybody, being quite literally a night owl. Farley sort of pulls himself awake. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Theo looks a bit startled when Farley says good morning, everyone, and sort of quickly like grabs the shawl and like wraps it tight for a moment, and then, good morning. I didn't think anyone else was up yet.
Sorry, I just realized I had to do something channel related. Sorry, friends, for seeing that right in the middle of stream. I honestly, I couldn't quite sleep, and I woke up a little earlier than usual. It's morning.
I think the camera then pans over to Pudding, and Pudding has kind of positioned himself on the horn of Poppy and is just kind of sprawled out, mouth open, kind of snoring, and the snoring kind of harmonizes with Poppy. Poppy is still knocked out since yesterday, and you kind of hear this like snoring, high-pitched snoring from Pudding mixed with like this almost violin sound of Poppy, and he's just knocked out, just sprawled out, all 4 limbs kind of hanging over the big horn of this massive beetle.
And Luna is leaned up against, sort of below the horn, curled up like into a little nook of Poppy, maybe where the head meets the body, almost completely like just invisible, mostly fast asleep, but has started to stir just a bit with the talking.
Sio will, an action I can always take is to leap up on top of something. So Sio will like wings out a little bit and hop up onto like Poppy's back and then up onto Poppy's horn to like poke at Pudding with their feet. Something that Sio probably does on a regular basis.
I think like immediately when Sio pokes Pudding's foot, Pudding like almost leaps up and hugs Sio, and it's like home, 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 home. And just kind of looks around, kind of like they just woke up from mid-dreaming. It's like, yeah, good morning. I mean, good morning to this current home that we have.
Sio is clearly trying not to start bawling and like hugs Pudding back and just quietly goes, home, home, home.
And Pudding realizes like they don't know why they're saying home. They don't, but they enjoy the moment. And as they pull away, they kind of straddle the horn of Poppy and starts petting. It's like, hey, buddy, is this going to be our home for a while? And I think Poppy just zero response. Maybe the snoring gets a little bit louder, kind of signaling like, oh, we might be here for just a tad bit longer. And Pudding's like, all right, yeah, let's get our day started.
At this point, Lula has sort of woken up, done the big cat stretch, and then like walked over to Hyacinth, who's like still coming to consciousness, and just starts sitting with the gods. And like this is not an abnormal thing for Lula to do. It's sort of like a little good morning. So she's just kind of seeing if all of them are awake and where they're supposed to be, and just gives them little good mornings. And the now 3 visitors that are hanging out up top as well, she starts to greet and kind of bat at, sort of friendly, just sort of see what's going on, and they all start playing a little bit.
Oh, that's so good. I think at this point, Hyacinth, like they are awake, but they're just still. Like they're letting everybody do their thing up here. And like they like reach maybe to poke at one. Maybe that's their high. But they're just slowly letting everybody get acquainted, have their hellos, maybe some tea. I don't know what they're doing up there. But eventually it's coming to their feet and just good morning, everyone. We have friends, as always.
Farley set about just making a light breakfast with some fruit that they procured from their neighbor's stall the last night. Just making something simple. And getting everything ready to start the day and see. Oh, it's kind of different here during the day, isn't it?
Yes.
It is.
So I learned from last night that the market is mostly open in the evenings, but some stands have daytime hours as well. If we want, we can open up today, but we can also wait till this evening if we'd like to do another walk around and explore.
It seems like the best idea would be to take some time to explore. I think that a lot of the times when we go places, we don't really give ourselves that, and I'm starting to think that maybe we're missing something about this life that we have. We have the gift of being able to go wherever we want, well, wherever Poppy wants. But we get to see so much of the world, and yet I feel like we don't see it. I would really like to take a look around. I don't think we'd get very many customers in the daytime anyhow.
You're putting kind of clear its throat. Now he's standing proud and tall on top of Poppy's horn. It's like, you know what, team? I'm declaring that we don't even open up for the market tonight. We'll light up the streets, but let's explore. We made enough yesterday that, I need to do a little more wares hunting, and I think it would be fun to explore up and down, maybe, and like kind of looks over at Hyacinth and Farley. It's like, should we bring them down to the Titan?
I'd really like to go. I didn't get to go last time.
I don't mind showing folks the way.
Seems we have an agenda.
Luna?
Luna gives like the tiniest little shrug, like, sure. And then after a moment just goes, but when we open again, I would like someone to help me run the stall next time, because that was a lot. And I'm taking a token for speaking my true feelings on a subject.
I'm so sorry that I didn't, that I was a little focused on the bringing in instead of the helping. And We'll make sure you have more help.
It's okay. They talk more here than the last place we were at. They want to talk, and that's not something I'm good at. And then just like quietly pads over to Pudding, an indication that she is done talking now.
Pudding kind of whispers, but you're so good at so many other things.
She does like a little wiggle, but doesn't say anything.
Well,
Co starts setting out plates for people and like legitimately dancing while doing so, like spinning around, setting things out so that Farley has somewhere to put the food.
sort of take, I think Farley will take their cloak off and set it down on the ground. And it's a little bit bigger and more billowy than it almost folds out into like a nice little picnic blanket. And then sets down the little, let's say a fruit salad in the middle, and then just starts helping everybody dish up. So after breakfast, shall we?
Yeah, I think at this point, Pudding sees the two orbs kind of floating around Hyacinth's horns and is rustling through just like a bag of wares, just like clanking around, and brings like these two little tin houses and just kind of sits down next to the plate, but also kind of scoots these houses, and Pudding's going to try to see like how these orbs react, but not saying anything to Hyacinth, but also trying to like give an eye, like something could happen. Maybe.
One of them, as you set these houses down, starts to do cautious circles kind of around it, like up and down, just looking at every inch of it. And the other one is keeping its distance. That one is sort of a tinted teal blue. And this purple one is sort of up inspecting the house that's closest to it. And then after a moment, it settles kind of in the doorway. So not fully in the house, not fully out, just sort of nestles into the doorway and just stays there for a moment. The teal one, however, is still very cautious and keeping closer to Hyacinth and the other gods within his antlers.
So what's on the docket, team? We have so many things to explore. We could kind of check out the daytime market. We could try to make it across the bridge and see where that leads. We could even go behind us. I didn't even realize this vast forest behind us. And I know that we were going to go down and check out the Titan as well, but it does get a little more lively when the sun starts setting.
And it sounds like we should do something till then. And it has been a little while since I've gotten to really enjoy a nice forest, but across the bridge also would be nice. We don't really know what's over there, aside from, well, we don't really know.
More
I
road?
guess. More road, perhaps. Or maybe something else. It is a very large bridge. But also, where's hunting? You know that's my favorite thing, so I'm very excited about that one. I will make sure to do the best job and to pick the finest things, or probably the most shiny things. That's always what I do, isn't it?
Yes, we do need more shiny things. We're good on pearls and scales for now, and I think we might need a little more tea leaves and maybe some pretty flowers that match your color.
Sio is legitimately taking notes.
So we're foraging?
A little bit of foraging and then a little bit of adventure under the bridge, I think.
Luna, with that, runs through the storage boxes that have been opened up from the night market previous, and then pulls out a little bag that she slings over her shoulder, and it's black with white stitching, and it's very big, and it's empty. And she's okay. I'm ready.
I just want to be clear. We are forging, but it's okay to have fun today too, Luna.
Okay.
I'll be looking out for all the things that are standing out and shiny and colorful and exciting. So don't be too worried, Lula.
I will try to have fun, and I will also look for things. Like looking for nods from everyone, like that was correct. Okay. Should we go?
Onward.
Okay. And do we cross the bridge and go to the other side before heading off, or do we just we're on one side ourselves? Do we just move into the forests?
I think we can just sort of move across the bridge and then into sort of a forested area. And
All right. So, yeah, go ahead.
But as we, I think on the way, we stop at a couple different market stalls and see what's on their tables for wares. See what the competition is up to.
What do people find? What are you looking for?
I think that there is a stall that sells very pretty seashells, which is interesting because we are pretty far inland at Titan's Crossing.
Seal approaches the stall with the seashells and has a minute of pause as they're examining the actual shells on the table. Like, those, I know those, wait, and looks into their bag at the ocarina and looks up at the person running the stall and sort of looks around like they're looking for someone and goes, I'm sorry, this is such a strange question. Are you from Little Journeys Out from, and describes where the barrow was? By chance?
Why, yes, of course I am. And this is a red-breasted robin. Yes, quite a ways actually out from there, but it was on the way.
And they take out the ocarina. Maybe you know there was a child who was also a robin. Actually, they gifted me this a long time ago, and I just wanted to say thank you. I never really got to. I'm sorry, this is probably very silly and very strange.
Oh, no, it's not silly or strange at all. Do you happen to remember their name?
Yes, I do. It was, and Seal like taps their head a couple times as though they're like trying to rhythmically start their brain. Magda.
Magda. Oh, well, I had a cousin Magda. Years and years ago.
Oh, I am. Do you think you'll see Magda again at some point? Even if it's a long. Oh, I don't want to ask that of you. It's going to be a long time.
Well, there might be. I think there's a family reunion coming up fairly shortly here.
Oh, if I could just and Seal like scrambles into their bag and they have an envelope that's sealed that says Magda on it. And it looks like it's been a little bit beaten up. Like clearly CO has had this in their bag for a long time. And hands it and goes, if you could give this to Magda and grabs some like an assortment of different coins and just sort of goes, and not for free, of course.
Oh, no, keep your money. It's on my way anyways.
Are you sure?
Oh, of course.
Well then, at least let me buy something. I do love the shells.
They are quite pretty, aren't they?
And they look at a couple of them and flip one over that has really nice dark mother of pearl. This one would be perfect.
Excellent choice. That's 3.
And CO hands over the coins and then like slips while they're handing over the coins, they slip a couple coins underneath something in the stall because they know that this person will not take the extra if they just hand it.
This Robin takes the 3 coins and puts them into a little pouch off to the side. Well, it was a pleasure doing business to you, and they'll take the letter, and he'll sort of tuck it into a breast pocket of this very fine vest with some intricate embroidery. I'll be sure to hand it. It'll keep it close to my heart until it gets there.
Thank you so much. I can't put into words how much this means, and if you need anything, we're going to be here for at least a little bit longer. We're the ones with the slightly obtrusive Hercules beetle.
Oh, I think I saw some of your wares last night. I was having one of those dream potions that your friend there was selling.
Oh, pudding.
Pudding scampers over on all fours and stands straight up.
I was saying to your friend. I didn't quite catch your name.
Oh, I'm Pudding.
Pudding.
And yours? Yes.
Oh, I'm Alistair. Lovely to meet you.
And I'm Siobhan.
Hi, Siobhan.
You can call me CEO.
Seal, gotcha. But I was saying that I was eyeing some of your handsome wares. In particular, I liked there was a dream potion. There was a dream of a lovely forest with rainbow leaves that you had on stock. Is that still available?
No. The cool part about it is that these dreams are one of a kind.
Oh, did someone already buy it then?
We're actually closed today, and none of us are working. So,
Oh, Pudding, I actually called you over just for the one thing. Alistair's actually doing me a big favor.
Well, I mean, it's no hassle at all. As soon as you're open again, I'll pop by and I'll see what else you have.
Okay. I'll make sure to come by and bring you something.
Oh, no worries at all.
And Sio kind of like sidles up to Pudding and like shows the ocarina and then gestures to the shells. Is like, that letter I had, it's finally going to actually be delivered.
and you just see Pudding realize, like, they overspoke over CO, and his eyes kind of well up, and it's like, I am so sorry. I can go back and work the stall tonight and make sure that letter gets sent. I promise I didn't mean to overspeak.
No, Pudding. The letter is not contingent on the wares. It's okay. They mentioned that they had been looking at the dreams in particular, and if they had one in particular that they were looking for, I figured you would at least want to know that maybe we could set it aside or something.
And I think Pudding would take off his huge knapsack and like writhe through it. And he kind of pulls out this almost bubbly looking potion glass. And at first it looks like there's nothing in it. But he kind of shakes it a little bit, and it kind of gives us off this like iridescent green, and hands it over to Sio, and it's like, if you would like to give him one of your dreams right now, that would be okay for me. And hands you this iridescent potion. All you have to do is whisper something in there. You can tell him what the dream is, or you can just hand it over.
Sio takes a minute to process because they've never done this part before. Like, they've watched Pudding do it infinite times, but they've never really thought about the fact that they could maybe do it too. And they were sort of thinking about last night when they didn't really realize that's what they were doing. They were adding their dream to that bottle. So they look at it and they exhale sort of into the bottle and grab one of their feathers, specifically one of the bright red ones from underneath their wing, and put it in the bottle and hand it over and go, "This is a dream from when I was younger that actually did come true. I dreamed to be a dancer just like someone that I'd met, and I hope that it can help you make whatever dream you want come true too."
I think Alistair takes the bottle and holds it up and brings it right to his eye. And at that brief moment, you kind of see a vignette of a rainbow forest that they were mentioning, but it kind of shows a letter that kind of wisps off in the wind, and then it just kind of disappears in front of Alistair's eyes. And Alistair says, "Thank you. Thank you so much." And kind of tucks it away where he tucked away the 3 coins.
And with that, I think everyone starts to move across the bridge. Hyacinth, is there anything you'd like to do before we reach the end of the bridge?
No, you guys are just killing me out of character. Just come on, just be lovely forever.
I mentioned in Zoom chat that this game is just competitive cuteness, that we keep trying to one-up each other with adorable, and I think we're all winning, actually. I think you all, as you move across, the group kind of reconvenes at the other side of the bridge, having done their various activities, and Luna scampers up as the last one to join with her little bag, which is mostly empty now. Are we ready to go out?
I am.
Okay. So I was talking to one of the people at the stall, the one that sells the weird clocks, and they said there's a waterfall a little ways down that way. So maybe we want to do that if we're also having fun.
Oh, I haven't ever actually been up close to a waterfall before. I would love that. Can we do that? And looks over at everyone else. And there is this slightly different childlike wonder about Sio at the moment. They normally are very energetic and upbeat and very wondrous and joyful. But there's a specific curiosity, childlike joy quality to it right now. There's just a bit of a shift.
Oh.
Is everyone else good with going to the waterfall? Because we can go other places too.
Waterfall's fine by me.
Hey, of course, I'm good with a waterfall.
Okay. And Luna just starts takes 2 really confident steps forward, immediately stops, and just okay, and then starts moving again in the direction she thinks. Oh, sorry. And almost having fallen into the, like, off the edge of the bridge, like, turns slightly and gets onto solid ground. And, like, now is very carefully looking at her feet and walking in a direction.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think you kind of see the party meander off, and you kind of see the camera pan out, and you see the orbs kind of fade off as they head into this path. And it's quiet, but you do hear some scatters of laughter. And I think as we're walking, you do start hearing the rush of a waterfall, and everyone kind of picks up their pace just a little bit. But all of a sudden, we hear this galloping behind us, and you hear, "Get out of the way!" And you see this big moose that has this silliest grin on his face, and you just see him clopping around. And everyone gets a token, by the way. And we all kind of get knocked off to the side of the of the pathway, and you just see this big moose just clomping around, big hooves everywhere. And then you see this trail of adolescent animals of all ages kind of chasing him, and one of them is Aegis, and they're playing this massive game of tag while their parents are back at the markets. And there's just animals of all types. You see baby ducks, you see a baby bear, a few otters, just like trying to keep up to this massive moose as they're running straight for the waterfall.
Luna,
I was
Luna
gonna say-
dives out of the way and just, like, backs up against a tree while this is all happening. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the Theo grabs Luna, but will grab Hyacinth instead to sort of like pull off to the side. Hyacinth is much more steady, slower moving, and just like, nope, move.
Thank you, because he needed careening.
Farley is flat on his face. And I think from out of the hood, the firefly wool peeks out and sort of hovers around Farley's face to make sure that they're okay. And Farley takes a second. Farley shakes himself off and stands. Oh, well, that was something you don't see every day.
And then you feel something knock into your tail feather again, and it's Aegis. Oh, I'm sorry. Farley?
Oh, hello, Aegis.
Oh, get out of the way. We're playing tag. You're slowing me down. Let's go.
Ah!
It just takes off waddling around straight down.
With the little duck
Theo
feet.
like does a double take when they hear Farley say Aegis, and it's like, what did I do? And Aegis is already gone. So they're just kind of like, well, that was a lot. But it seems like the waterfall must be a fun place to go then.
I think Aegis in the crowd is fairly easy to spot because stuck in the middle of his normal plumage is a single bright green feather.
And I think as we kind of collect ourselves and brush the dirt off of all of our clothes, and we walk up, and it's this massive, pristine waterfall. Nothing like we've ever seen before. We've seen trickling, babbling brooks and small water features, but this, it almost looks like we can't even see the top of this waterfall. And it pours down into this huge collection of water, and you kind of see the kids and everybody that we just saw run past us. They almost shrink in size compared to this, and you just kind of feel, even with all the chaos going on, there's some sort of calming around this waterfall.
You also, as you're looking up at the waterfall, the the way the wind hits the water and the movement of the wind up the side of this cliff, there's sort of, it's very vague, but some kind of melody or rhythm kind of being produced by just the changes in the wind and the water of how it hits different rocks. And you can kind of hear the sound of the waterfall changing and dancing with the wind. And Luna, having been thoroughly spooked by the game of tag, is just eyeing it in terror, not realizing how big it is, and has a back to a tree and using one of the things she can always do, which is keep an eye on the exits and just anywhere but the waterfall.
Theo starts to key into the sounds, almost the music that's being created by the movement of the wind and the whooshing of the water and the pattering on stones and the flow of the water after it's come down, and starts to tap, 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 and move, and tap, 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 and move, like clearly figuring out the rhythm before they start to construct a dance around it. And they look over at Pudding and go, "Would you like to dance?"
Sure, why not? Can the group dance together? And looks over at Hyacinth, Farley, and Luna.
I would love that.
Well, I've got 2 left feet. I'm not really much of a dancer, but I'm happy to help keep rhythm. And Farley will. You know what? I don't actually have any sort of instrument that I can help with the music, at least.
Luna
Theo
reaches out and holds out her lute.
Oh.
Still sort of terrified and very visibly not interested in dancing, is still overwhelmed by the size of this waterfall, but just like, here's, I don't have an instrument, and just...
Well, Farley will grab the lute and begin to pluck a little bit of a tune. Sort of off-key, but gets into it eventually, and it's just a sort of light melody. I'll at least provide accompaniment, even if I don't dance.
Dancing with your fingers is good enough.
Listen.
I think someone is a little preoccupied with me at the moment, and they gesture up, and swinging asynchronously with the music is a pair of chimes in its antlers, and rocking the music is Dulcet, tiny god of melodies. So they're like chiming together with the music, and just Hyacinth's letting them do their thing.
Theo is so moved by this that it takes them a moment to remember they were going to dance. And so they go, "All right, then it's me and you, Pudding."
Let's go. Everyone's dancing their own way.
Ah, that's the way a family should be. And like takes Pudding by the hands and starts to sway and like gradually, progressively add more movements to the dance as Pudding starts to get the hang of each one, until it is a lovely, complex dance that involves a little bit of athletics. And there's moments of Theo using the fact that they're a bird and sort of flitting up and hopping up on things and sort of carrying Pudding with them with the dance. And they're surprisingly strong. They've not really shown this too much with the group, but all of these muscles everywhere have been finely tuned for this.
Yeah. And Pudding is always half a step behind, but he doesn't really let that affect him. He's actually kind of closing his eyes and just letting Theo lead, and almost wants the rest of the party to kind of see, like, even if you're half a step behind, you can still dance. So he's trying his best to keep up with just a big grin on his face, with the mist of the waterfall kind of cascading around Pudding and Co, showing that it's okay to be a little goofy and a little slow, but that's okay.
And as they dance, I think they'll all sort of move towards, sort of not necessarily like uh, a, a little bit away from the waterfall, towards this large lake, where at the edge of it they'll see that there are lily pads with brightly colored flowers, at on the stiller ends of uh, this large lake. Uh, we said we needed some foraging things, right? Farley says as they play this lute sort of off key while they're walking.
Co pulls Pudding into like a dramatic spin, sort of like the kind of spin that you would get, like the cinematic loved ones reuniting, pick one up and spin them around type of thing. It's clearly filled with excitement and joy and love. And this, you said flowers, and here we are, flowers. See the dances? They lead to what you need.
When Farley mentions foraging and flowers, Luna, who has been kind of at the outskirts of the clearing that the lake and the waterfall are in, still kind of back to any, like facing the waterfall the whole time, like doesn't want to let it out of her sight, here's foraging and just, I can take care of that, and just leaps onto a lily pad and just starts hopping little ocelot, like cat jumps from lily pad to lily pad, and just like starts putting the flowers in very meticulously but quickly, from each one, leaving about half on each to like reblossom, and just starts jumping around to have something to do.
Co stops and looks into the water and goes, what? Oh, and like half dives in, like arms fully in the water, like feet in the water, clearly not like being shy about getting wet, and rummages in the rocks and soil at the bottom and pulls out this small, like mossy orb, and starts to like brush off the moss, and there's a shine underneath. It's not a pearl, but it's a metal. And the more that they brush off, there are flecks of color in it, almost like an opalescence. And they start to be able to see that it's like an encased, it kind of resembles the dreams that Pudding tends to sell, but in like a bubble.
Oh, well, this
I
is
think
interesting.
Pudding sees Co pull this out and is still kind of on a high of wonder, just like, so we could have done anything else today, but we ended up here. And looks over at Luna as Luna's kind of almost jumping around to Hyacinth's music god, melody god playing, almost like they're dancing, and looks over at Farley playing the lute, and it's just like, huh, this is everything that could have happened today didn't, that led up to this. And walks up to Co and looks Co in the eye as like kind of through the bubble. And it's like, what did you find?
It's I'm not sure what to make of it, but it's very pretty, and it feels warm even though the water's cold. Touch it, and almost like there's something in it, like and then they like startle for a second. They don't lose their grip on it, but they just and they go, that's something in there's moving. Feel, and holds it out for everyone else to like theoretically touch.
Farley will just give it a little poke. Cautiously.
It's softer than you'd expect it to be. Like, not quite like a gel consistency, but definitely flexible. And it feels like it almost pokes back. Like there's like a little bit of a shake.
It's certainly peculiar. It's a little gross. Just a little grossed out. Just a teensy bit.
Hyacinth, you'll probably know more about this than any of the rest of us, maybe. Either you or Lula, but Lula's and like points over to like.
When you point at Lula, she like hears her name mid jump, like close to shore, is sort of starting to head back, and just misses the lily pad, goes into the water with a big splash, and then almost seconds later just scatters out of the water and up a tree and just disappears.
Oh, Lula, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Shite.
She'll be okay. The sun will dry her off.
It's a nice enough day. I hope so.
Well, at least she's gotten a bath today. So she normally, and that's not really how cats do that, is it? Right. So Hyacinth, what do you make of this? I've never seen anything quite like it.
I mean, it's certainly a thing, certainly something, a piece of matter. I am not well versed in this. I'll just be completely honest with you.
Farley just sort of shrugs.
Hyacinth, as you look over at this object, Dulcet, who has been playing these tiny melodies, the Forgotten God, starts to inch out and looks at it and just starts shaking, so the whole house and the wind chimes attached to it just start like clanging, which is something Dulcet is very dramatic, it's something Dulcet does when they think something's important, but it happens pretty often. A lot of things are very important to Dulcet.
I'm actually gonna use, or let's see. I have a ceremonial object that I still honor, and it's a rock with a hole in it. And I think I'm gonna make a prop real quick out of one of my stone beads and just like peer through it.
Just to look at the object.
Mm-hmm.
There is a rainbow aura coming off of this, like smoke, but then diffuses quickly off of it. There is energy and life to this thing. It feels important, but it also feels like it has some magic beyond that which the Forgotten Gods carry. And as you look at this glowing rainbow orb, egg, you're not really sure, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break.
Okay, folks, we're going to take a 10-minute break. Everybody take some time to stretch, take care of yourselves, drink some water, do human things, and we will be right back. See you in a sec. Welcome, mortals, to Morning Ritual.
Welcome to Upon These Crystals is
playing Beyond the Twilight Road.
And welcome to Forest and Flame on the Critical Misses channel.
Welcome to another episode of Kingsguard.
A 6-part miniseries titled The Growing of the Dim.
I would like to cast Witch Bolt on her.
Yeah, can I make 6 attacks against her?
It's a thing.
I do believe some people wanted to do some goblin blood shots.
oh no.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, we did want to do that.
It looks like your plan is half-baked.
In between one of the quacks, I'll just get like really loud and just say, "Run."
Incoming transmission.
This is the USS Solstice Starfleet. Repeat, this is the USS Solstice. Priority 1. I am Chief Medical Officer Dr. Tiltix. We have found the USS Riley that has been reported missing, the wormhole anomaly, and the source of the reality shifts. Captain Harrow is hostile and is going against the Prime Directive. This is a warning to the rest of Starfleet. We are doing everything in our... I'm hoping this message is not too late. If it is, I'm sorry.
That was not a smooth transition, but hey, we're live. That's the mood today. That is the mood today.
Oh! Sometimes you need it, girl. I got my click clack bag. God damn it, Noir.
Thank you all for having me, and I'm glad I was on before Bria because there's no way to follow her, so it's good.
Garlic smells and tastes like ass. Well, you show me an ass that tastes like garlic, and I'm gonna find myself a new partner.
No.
Summer of Abria.
You could make someone cry over like Romeo and Juliet, or I could make them cry with a story about a werewolf giving a blowjob. And if I could do that, that's a trick to pull off.
Today, your PSA is that when you watch streamers, content creators, YouTubers, influencers, you do not actually know them. You may know their name, you may know facts about them, you do not know them. This is your PSA to not be over familiar. Thank you and have a good day.
And that's kind of why, I'm trying to be as unapologetic as possible, is because I'm trying to be the person that I needed back when I was growing up.
I'm starting Gabe Gate. Gabe Gate. Gabe Gate starts here, and it's that Gabe is an actual fey creature, and they're just messing with us. A new IP comes out that's perfect for you, right? But in order for this to exist, we have to get rid of another IP, and whichever IP you replace it with, that's how big it gets.
Star Wars. Bye.
I'll tell you one motherfucking thing. If you're in Australia, go fuck yourself. Australia. Yeah, that's right. I'm picking a fight with the entire goddamn continent of Australia.
So,
go fuck yourself,
tune
mate.
in for October 24th, our show where we have Wasabate, who is in fact Australian, and has promised us one authentic good day.
You know what? If your name is Liam O'Brien, go fuck yourself too. It's hands for you on site, Caleb.
Damn.
So what do you want to do about it? Do you want to play this game with me? Or do you want to forfeit? I don't really think you can keep up with me, but I'd love to see you try. Darling.
Hey, Brooke Anita! My co-host has been murdered.
You just gotta lie a lot and have one solid apology at the end, and that is the secret to Young Justice working every time.
I feel like that is a Thieves Guild's mantra. Lie longer, lie better. Papa John's.
Anita quite literally said, Noir knows him. And I was like, co-signed. All right, welcome aboard. I was like, that is enough for me. Noir knows and likes this person.
Well, we can always make a Respect Women Juice flask, so you can have it wherever you go.
I'm already working on putting it on a mug.
Excellent. Next, you need shot glasses. Mm-hmm. Just take a quick shot of Respect Women Juice. Yeah.
Huh? Where am I?
We're going into that guy segment. Did you just black out for a little bit?
I was so busy fighting that everything just went red for a second.
You cannot do what I do, like at all. But
Right.
I can't do what you do. And no one can tell your story. No one can sing your song but you.
I always thought, like, I always realized, like, Critical Misses. It's just like, it's a film-focused channel, and, the critical, okay, haha. And then I was like, wait a second. When you roll a 1, that's a critical miss.
Did you just get the pun?
Yes!
Just get the
pun! I just got the pun.
Welcome, mortals, to Morning Ritual.
Welcome to Upon These Crystals is
Playing Beyond the Twilight Road.
And welcome to Forest and Flame on the Critical Misses channel.
Welcome to another episode of Kingsguard.
A 6-part miniseries titled The Growing of the Dim.
I would like to cast Witch Bolt on her.
Yeah, can I make 6 attacks against her?
It's a thing.
And we're back. Welcome back, everybody. Without further ado, Paula.
Hi, everyone. So we come back in a forest, similar to the one we're in now, but this one is more, it's deeper into a forest. There are more trees, it's denser. The canopy keeps a lot of the light coming out, so you can't really tell if it's dusk or dawn, or maybe there's just too many clouds for there to be some strong sun. And you see Farley, remind me, what did you look like at this point?
Farley is a little bit smaller, doesn't have the same cloak that he wears now. His clothes are a little bit tattered, and he is currently running through the forest, scared and alone. He's just looking behind him cautiously over his shoulder, making sure it's as though there might be someone pursuing him. But there isn't. It's mostly Farley's own imagination that has gotten him to this point.
As Farley runs through this dense woods, you start to feel like it's getting darker around you as perhaps you're getting more and more towards the center of this forest. And you see sort of very suddenly a large swarm of birds move quickly through you, followed quickly by a swarm of dragonflies, almost giving chase to one another, stopping you in your tracks for a moment.
Farley just stops, scared, probably yelps out, and it is looking around for something, anything. And I think at that point, ducks into a hollowed out log and just sort of hides there shaking as this sort of stampede of animals and insects goes by. Waits for it to
Farley,
pass.
what are you running from?
Something bad happened at the barrow. And Farley lost track of his family and his friends. And the forest was the only safe refuge. And I think No, go ahead.
Please.
As he sort of settles into this log, he begins to sort of almost like realizing how long he's been running it's almost like a sleep begins to take him. But the darkness that's in this log, you can, this was like a camera angle on a TV show, you could see like it begin to fade to black a little bit. But in that black, a small point of light emerges and begins to float up around Farley.
You're suddenly brought to consciousness by a little firefly butt bonking against your face.
Oh. What?
And when you first open your eyes for a second, you see just a glowing turquoise mote of light. And then it almost refocuses into a firefly that's just looking at you.
Where did you come from?
It just does a little wiggle and looks at you.
I'll cup my hands, and the little mote of light will rest. Well, it was very dark and it was very scary, but somehow when you're around, it doesn't feel quite so bad.
And you notice you're holding this firefly in your palms, And you know fireflies, especially the ones from the barrow, can grow up to the size of your torso. These large creatures that can move through the streets, guiding light, and of course the parade. This one fits neatly into the palm of your hands. Maybe just a baby.
Well. Perhaps if you're small and you need to grow strong, maybe I need to grow strong too, and we can do that together.
Mole just looks at you, looks a little scared.
Well, don't be scared. And Farley sort of takes Wool and tucks the little firefly into a breast pocket, much like the robin tucked the letter into the breast pocket. If you want, you can peek out. And Farley sort of stands. Let's say we get out of this forest together, and if we find anyone around the way, well, maybe we can also show them the way out.
Farley pops out of your pocket and just looks up at you, kind of half in, half out, and makes eye contact. And Wool has an ability to non-verbally ask, what is true about you that you keep from everyone? And if you want to withhold an answer, you're going to need to spend a token. And Wool just looks at you and you feel compelled to say something true.
I think I might have been the reason why the bad things happened to the barrow.
And with that, we come back to the lake with 4 members of our little group gathered around this iridescent egg, and Hyacinth having just noticed some sort of aura coming off of it through his rock with the hole in it. What are you all doing?
Sio starts to take, like, sort of realizing that this is something that they can just toss in there or Luna's bag. Sort of like, oh, I should probably actually, and takes the shawl and starts to like tie it into like almost like a sling, but it's actually tied in the way that people like tie like a baby carrier,
like a papoose.
Yes, that's the word. Like a papoose. And like nestles it there. And it's just kind of like I think this is probably the best way to carry it. And as they touch it to their chest, they just start crying. Like tears just start coming down. And it's not entirely apparent why. And they move it away from their chest a moment and the tears stop. And they try it again and the tears start again. And they just go, I remembered my favorite meal that my mother used to make when I was little. And I don't know why. I couldn't remember that for the longest time. I haven't thought about that, and I could smell it. You try it. And hands it off to Hyacinth.
I simply assumed that you were allergic to, and like, while they see like their body is apprehensive, their hooves, hands, what have you, is like ready for this thing. And of course, and in the same notion, their eyes are like starting to flush and leak, and they don't want to toss it, but they do just like gesture for someone else to take it.
Farley will take
their
it.
eyes are just okay. I think that was my mother's perfume, lavender. Lots and lots of lavender. I'm sorry. I'm just like composing themselves. That is something.
Farley's sort of holding it away from his chest for a little bit, but eventually brings it close. Ooh! Puts it away. Curious. Maybe it's it's unveiling memories?
I think that's what's happening, yeah. Fond memories.
Fond memories.
Specifically.
Well, I remembered a very nice cup of tea that a friend gave me once. Well, since none of us seem to know about this thing, perhaps Edna might.
Oh, who's Edna?
The caretaker under the bridge, the salamander.
Oh, I wasn't there for that. Okay, okay.
They seemed very wise, and perhaps they know things about this area that we do not.
That's true. Pudding, do you want to try? Maybe it seems like they're memories that are comforting to us, and usually are someone we love. Might be nice.
I think Pudding takes it and puts it against his heart, and you see tears starting to well up, but he pulls it away and he's like, I didn't smell anything, but I heard something. I heard something rhythmic, something very familiar. And at this point, you just kind of hear the bass of the rushing of the waterfalls kind of melding with the fading tones of Dulcet, the small god of melody. And at one point, Pudding has heard this before, and he puts it back up, and the tears start running again. But they're not sad tears; it's very overwhelming, and he's just like, I know this sound. I've heard this before, and he takes it, and he gives it back to CO. And I think at this point, as all of this has been happening, Pudding takes a second and looks up at Luna, kind of laying on a branch, just almost taking a nap, and realizes that the sun has set over the waterfall. We've spent a lot of time here, and it just felt like we got here. This was the first time the party has had a chance to not work, to play, to explore, to just have a time to relax. And I think it's at this moment where it's kind of the golden hour where you can kind of see the light being blocked off. The sun is setting. And we saw the mist of the waterfall kind of being carried by the sun rays when it was out above us. But now, as the sun's going down, you kind of see right where the water is crashing, something very loud and abrasive, kind of shining this light every so often. You kind of see a drop that you can somehow follow down, and it falls into the water, and it kind of illuminates this big lake that we're around. And then as it hits the water, it kind of dissipates into the deep. And Pudding just looks around and realizes that he needs to go talk to Luna real quick. He's like, I think it's time to head back. I'll go get Luna. And crawls up the tree, gives Luna a nudge. It's like, hey friend, are you okay? I'm sorry we didn't check on you before.
Oh, it's all right. I think the waterfall is the tallest thing I've seen since home, and it worried me. I don't know why.
Yeah, I have this feeling that things can be scary, and the water, the water just flows no matter what. Whether it hasn't rained in a few days or it's been a torrential downpour, I have a feeling that this waterfall never stops. And even though it's scary, and even though it's going down, it's still beautiful. There's still beauty in the crashing. There's still beauty in falling. And when I saw you fall, there was beauty in that. There was beauty in seeing you jump from lily pad to lily pad and seeing you make a mistake.
Well, I am glad it had an impact. I feel a little gross, but that's okay. I like this though. What did you find?
So Sio found something that is reminiscent of the orbs that we saw underneath the bridge. We're going to take it back to Edna and see what this is. Are you ready to go?
It can be. I have a lot of flowers. And Lula.
We can help you carry them. You don't have to carry them all by yourself.
I want to be helpful, and this is how I want to be helpful. And I'm going to carry them. And just jumps off the branch, like kicks off of the trunk and then lands on the ground. And just scampers over to the rest of the group.
Sio actually offers like a heavier piece of cloth that they have that's more cottony, more absorbent. And it's just like, in case you still need to dry off a bit.
Lula will like nuzzle into the cloth up and over to create kind of a little mini cloak just hanging over her head. Okay, I'm ready. And does everyone get ready to go?
Yeah.
Who's carrying the orb?
Probably Sio. They maneuver the sling so that it's the pupusa, so that it's not as like directly against their chest, because they're like, maybe not that part again. We're not ready for that. And sort of like has it a little more cradled in their hands, but otherwise it's just like, are we all set?
I'm ready.
I believe so.
And
Siobhan, are you sure you can handle that all by yourself? Would you need a hand?
Well, I would take one. Maybe we can carry it in shifts.
All right.
That way, no one is too feely on their own for the whole time.
Feelies?
Oh, Luna. So there's a little bit of something to update you on. It turns out this thing, if you hold it close to your heart, it seems to bring up memories of something that was maybe comforting or to do with someone you loved. Would you like to try? Maybe a little bit of comfort will help.
Okay.
Sio hands
and
it
Luna,
over.
Yeah, Hyzen.
Mind you, you get a little sentimental, and like there are clear tear stains in his silver fur. Just for warning.
Okay. And like is already in the process of grabbing it and just pulls it close to her chest, and immediately like eyes get red and tears start coming down her face. but her face kind of falls. Thank you.
Farley will take
just
it.
holds it back out. That was fine, and then starts walking ahead.
No. Okay.
Let's
and
go
like
back.
Seal kind of like looks at Pudding with this like help expression because they clearly want to like comfort Lula, but like are like, you know, like I've never known how to do this. with Lula. All they know that everything they usually try to do to comfort Luna is not helpful.
Farley will sort of. So go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that Farley will just go up, sort of aside, Luna, and if nostalgia isn't what you're ready for yet, that's okay too.
Farley, I just smelled smoke.
Oh. Farley just sort of shrinks into their cloak.
Sio similarly starts like shrinking into like almost hiding into their jewelry and their shawl and everything. And like it's clear the three of them are reacting to something.
Lula will, without really thinking, do something she can always do, which is say an expression in your traditional language. And it's not necessarily in the language of the barrow, but it's a saying of the barrow, which is till the end, essentially meaning like this, we will keep this going, like sort of a till death do us part, but for the city. And just says that kind of quietly and continues to lead the way back to the town.
Farley mutters in response.
So does Sio, just very quietly, till the end.
And I think with that, the group starts to approach Titan's Crossing once again. Pudding and Hyacinth, what are you up to as you kind of take up the rear of this little journey?
Pudding still is kind of watching the colors of the sky meld into the darkness, melt back into the now bustling of the lit up market, and can't stop thinking about, like, still in the back of his head, still can't stop thinking about that music that he heard when he put the orb next to his heart, and is just a little bit quieter and a little more introspective than he normally is, walking right next to Hyacinth.
Hyacinth is doing one of the things they can always do, and that is play with their god. And currently they're like in Cat's Cradle with Ravel. So they're like, this yarn is just spun in between their hands and like kind of fraying at the bits. But they eventually, once they like do all these intricate patterns, they ball the yarn up and just offer it to Luna. And hopefully I can use that to spin a token to ease someone's pain, if only for a moment.
You hold out the ball of yarn. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to add, I understand it can be a little difficult to express yourself or just let things go, but I know Ravel loves to talk to you. So if not us, they are open ears.
You hold out the ball of yarn and Luna just eyes it for a second and very hesitantly just reaches out and kind of bats it out of your hand, and it just sort of plops onto the ground, and she pounces on it when it hits the ground and just kicks it ahead of her and just starts pouncing her way. It doesn't like break this sort of sour mood that she's in, but is sort of letting it be a way to get out her energy and sort of kicks it and then pounces on it again.
And the ball of yarn cackles because that's one of the natures. It's witchy, and one thing they can always do, cackle. So you got a laughing ball of yarn.
So Luna chases this ball of yarn up to the start of the bridge, where you have the choice to either cross it back towards Poppy above or head down below.
Down below?
I would love to go down below.
And Farley will sort of take up a position at the front of the group and is going to come on now, Wool. And the firefly is going to come out of the cloak and begin to hover around Farley as he pulls his walking stick down on the ground and begins to illuminate all that is hard to see, which is something that Farley can always do.
And it's good timing for that too, because the sun at this point has completely set and the night market is opening up. And with the light of Wool, you're able to kind of step down into this canyon that Titan's Crossing is built over. And you start to see those who haven't seen it before especially start to see the transformation of these motes of light that sort of float down and magically become these animals of the same color, moving throughout the space beneath.
Co is experiencing this all for the first time and is so completely taken with this and is watching all these wisps float around them and the others and starts to dance with the wisps as they turn into animals and sort of not touching them or like engaging them in dance, but sort of moving around them, moving between them, and really just enjoying this. And as they do, that orb starts to shift and move, and the colors of these wisps are reflected in it, even after those wisps have turned to animals.
Luna paws her ball of yarn down into the drop and just pops down like on top of it, while another blue cat god just pounces on top of her and they start rolling. All the while you can see a salamander that is not a monochromatic forgotten god step out from presumably behind the Titan that is holding this bridge aloft and sees you all.
Hello,
I think at this moment, Co's orb, as it's kind of reflecting all this light, all the different colors kind of go into one point near the bottom of the orb, and it turns like this dark, almost black, but it's like when it hits, when another god kind of walks by it, you can kind of see that it's just a really, really dark purple. And I think that orb, as Co is dancing, it kind of starts falling out. And I think within Co's amazement, it kind of dances around them one time and kind of pulls the dance towards Edna.
I don't quite notice that that's happening at first, in that they're used to just flowing with everything, so it's just a natural movement. But once they sort of register that that's what's happening, they just kind of hold it up and go and look up at the salamander and go, I'm guessing you're Edna.
That is me. I recognize some of you.
Luna and I weren't here last time, but these are our friends. I'm Seu. I already mentioned that's Luna, and points over to Luna, tumbling with the small cat god. Well, I wasn't intending to come down here and immediately start asking questions until we found this. And like holds it up for Edna. And it's well, I can't very easily describe it.
Interesting. And Edna takes a sort of disc-like rock out of her pocket, and it has a glass, like a hole in it, but it's glass. So it's a sort of larger and more deliberate version of whatever Hyacinth had, and just looks through this rock at what you were holding. Oh, interesting. May I?
Sio, like, hands it over. Please.
Be careful. It makes you a little nostalgic.
Yeah. It's been bringing us memories. I thought they were all things that were comfort or attached to loved ones, but apparently not quite. Maybe you'll have a better idea.
I will use the utmost care. And she reaches out and just sort of cradles it. And you don't see tears. You don't see much of a reaction besides like a slight twitch of her eye. And she sort of holds it and looks it over. This is quite interesting. I haven't seen one of these in far too long. Where did you find it?
Over in the lake by the waterfall. It was actually really rather close to the shore. It was buried in the soil and the rocks. It was all covered in moss. I almost didn't see it.
Huh.
So you've seen one before then?
Yes, a long time ago. Not since the war ended, at least. If it surfaced, then it must be close to hatching then.
I'm sorry, did you just say hatching? That explains the movement in the warmth. Oh, goodness. Oh, no. Did I take something out of the water that was supposed to stay there? Oh, goodness. Oh, I hope I didn't just kidnap something.
Dear, if you found it, it wanted to be found. These are very deliberate. Have you seen one before? And looks at Hyacinth. If anyone has, it would be you.
I can't say that I have. It's very peculiar. Very emotional at that.
So you said that it would have wanted to be found then?
Yes. It's likely close to hatching itself. I am wondering if you would like to keep it as you did find it, or if I shall take care of
it. I wouldn't be opposed if none of you are opposed. I'm just a little worried that I won't know how to take care of it. I can't say yep, Farley.
I think we've also might buried the lead. What exactly is it?
Oh, that's a good point.
Oh, it's, well, the term I've heard used before as a pantheon egg. But there are creatures larger and more powerful than the ones, and gestures at the like menagerie behind her, moving about and like weaving in and out of this titan. With more power, we don't often see creatures of power here in Haeth these days. We assumed they were dormant or, well, gone. But it looks like we'll be getting a new one soon.
Well, we only did find it after after we were all moving together, after we were all dancing in our own ways together, and it really did seem to light up. I wonder if that's connected. I wonder if that's why we were the ones to find it and not all of the others who were playing by the waterfall.
It does exist deliberately, as far as I understand. So if it did surface for all of you, then I would be remiss not to allow it to stay with its chosen family.
At the second that Edna says chosen family, like Co has just a series of reactions. Most of them are good, some of them are heavy, but for the most part, it's just, oh, I'm well, far be it for me to tell it that it can't choose its own family. I mean, like all of us have, and oh, it chose us as a family the way we chose each other. Oh.
Perhaps. And once again turns to Hyacinth as everyone swoons. Once again turns to Hyacinth. You have not seen one of these before, I understand, but have you hatched a god? I see you have many. Are they all found?
Yes, most of them I've just came across myself. And it goes still for a moment. Hush, can you hear that?
Edna pauses to listen very deliberately.
I was going to say, I'm going to spend a token to listen to the small and forgotten gods.
Okay, cool. Because of course I get a token if people try their best. And what you hear is a crack.
It's moving along quickly then.
What do gods eat? I don't know the first thing about mothering a god. I mean, I'll try my best. We all will. I'm not alone. I'm a little overwhelmed. And Sia will lean closer to listen, spending the token to listen to the shared wisdom of the many small and forgotten gods, and ask the table what they tell you.
I think at this point you see all the gods that have changed into their animal form. They have kind of created, like they're looking in, because this is kind of a big deal. They hadn't seen this in a while, and you just kind of hear whispers and excitement and a little bit of wonder, and you're hearing people say like, what's going on, or like, who brought this, or who are these people? Why are they down here? Are they Edna's friends? And you just hear chatter of all different types of emotion, of questioning, of excitement.
And while all this is happening, especially when Edna mentions, like, do you know how to hatch a god? Farley, a memory comes back to you of Wool being very small when you first met him, and you think about how recently Wool must have been hatched when you found him.
And I would like to spend a token to provide a solution for an aspect of a material or an immediate problem. Well, they will eat quite a bit when they first arrive, so you'll need to provide plenty of offerings. I know, and Wool is going to reach into a satchel and is going to pull out some more of the fruits, and is going to grab the ritual book and begin to spread it out on, creating this almost sort of small shrine for the egg. You're going to want to place it there.
CEO just goes, right, and sets it down in the spot and is like clearly
You can
like,
already
watching
see
intently.
Another crack start to form where you heard it first. Now you can see a crack is forming. And even Luna has stopped playing with the yarn and is just holding it between her paws and just watching with the cat god next to her. Both of them are just staring at what's going on.
Oh, this is so exciting.
Hyacinth is like dropping almost everything they have on their persons, like papers for notes, papers for offerings, little pieces of metal, baubles, like just in case they figure out like what it is or what it's like. Go ahead.
No, go finish.
Oh, just playing at different objects. Hopefully something will catch.
So it's not just also about the offering; it's also about the intention, and it's about what's in your heart.
And I think at that moment where Farley says it's about the heart, you kind of see Pudding coming in from one side, and you see Wool kind of float out from underneath Farley's hood, and we kind of come into this shrine, and the light from Wool just makes something magnificent, and this dark figure that was this almost black is now iridescent purple. And as both Pudding and Wool close in onto this orb, Pudding kind of just innately knows to kind of like hold them together and give them a moment. And this is the first time that Pudding has actually interacted with Wool. Has always been amazed by what Wool is, but has never actually interacted. But innately knew that this moment was supposed to happen. And as the light kind of shines, you see Wool's bright light almost help dissipate. So the cracks kind of smoothen out, and you see the orb just kind of open up. And there you see a small, dark little otter. And it's a little baby otter.
I don't know how you knew, but I was prepared to narrate an otter as well. So it was meant to be.
Yeah, you see this otter that is differently colored than what we've seen before, but it has again this like dark sheen, almost like an oil slick, where now these gods have kind of made this almost dome of rainbow colors looking down at this moment where we just hatched a god.
And you could probably take
Edna
a token for
watches.
seeing something no one's ever seen before.
Edna watches on as this happens very seriously, does not seem to be phased one way or another by this event, or at least does not show it. And after this otter sort of, it's almost like the egg cracks open and the otter just sits there kind of curled up, a little bit cautious. And Edna explains, so you will find it chooses its domain in the next few days. It mostly has a direction for it, but it makes its decisions and comes into itself rather quickly. But it is tradition that the family that raises the egg names the god, or gives it a name that we all can pronounce. Now, I know you did not raise this egg, so I would not put that pressure on you if you do not wish to have it. Is there a name you are thinking of, or would like to provide it?
There's a river that used to run near the barrow. I don't know the state of it now, I suppose. It was called Sheelin. That seems appropriate to me, but what do the rest of you think? You are all more versed in this than I am.
Edna looks around, especially falling on Hyacinth more often, simply from the shared profession. Is anything speaking to you?
I think that's wonderful. I think CO is a true parent and we are merely godparents.
I wouldn't presume to be a sole parent here. And looks at everyone almost with pleading looks of like, please don't put this all on me.
I think Sheelan is the perfect name.
Excellent.
Sheelan it is then.
The small god of the flow of time.
And I think that is where we're going to end the session this evening. Thank you all for joining us.
That's the cutest shit ever.
Oh my goodness.
We did something cute today.
My
That's for sure. Anything else needs to be said before we bid everyone a good evening?
So we're going to do our outros real quick. Everybody can tell us who they are, what they do on the internet, and where we can find them, and if they've got any cool projects that are coming up. We can start with you, Paula, and we'll just go opposite direction that we did last time.
Cool. This is me. I'm Paula. You can find me at Art and Audio on Twitter. I have a charity stream this Friday that got rescheduled, so now it's this Friday with Diana D'Amico for her birthday. I'm playing Call of Cthulhu for the first time. And I have other things that don't exist officially yet, but exist. But keep an eye out on my Twitter tomorrow for a big announcement as well.
Heck yeah. Is that over on Bard and Barbarian?
No, it's on Gehenna Gaming now.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be streaming on Gehenna Gaming, and this thing tomorrow might also involve Gehenna Gaming and a Jade Dragon game. So if you like this game, keep your eyes peeled.
Amazing. That's you. Next up, Danny.
Hey y'all, my name is Danny. You can find me all over the internet at Brutal Dan. That's BR00TALDAN. I'm mostly on Twitter and TikTok, just talking about the amazingness of storytelling with amazing and diverse people. I am the community manager for Roll20, and I'm also the community director for Free RPG Day, which is coming up in June. And also just a happy early Pride Month to everybody, because that's tomorrow already. Yay!
Heck yeah. Cosmo.
Hi, I'm Cosmo. I need to break myself out of the accent. I am the Maelstrom Mind here on Twitch and Maelstrom Minded over on Twitter. I talk a lot about disability, accessibility, trans and queer issues, and also just various ways to storytell, various ways to play in games that is narrative focused, which is why I love this so much. As far as projects and stuff, the main thing I've got going on is I'm actually doing my first art stream on Friday for my affiliate-versary/birthday, and also really excited about the start of Pride Month. Yeah, that's kind of my deal.
Heck yeah. Vin.
Hi guys, I'm Vin at VinVoxVA on Twitter. I'm a voice actor who does tabletop things, and typically I list off everything for the rest of the week, but I'm currently emotional goop, so just check my Twitter. That's my announcements, that's casting, all that good stuff, and that's me.
Heck yeah. I'm Anita. I am the channel runner and host here at Critical Misses, so you can find me here most times, either in front of the camera or behind the screen. You can find me behind the screen tomorrow. With any luck, we should be returning with Queer Society, or Good Society game that's telling the Regency through a queer lens. You can also find me on Fridays for our Star Trek Adventures campaign, The Lost Frontier. And our crew just got out of some time soup, started recouping their losses, and get to find out exactly what's changed in the time that they've been gone. And Saturdays, you can find me again right here for Morning Ritual, which is our TTRPG talk show. And our guest this week is Kappa Chris. So we're going to talk to Chris this week, and it's going to be a good time. Sundays, you can find me over on Kira858's channel for a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition game called Amidst Light and Shadow. And I play a real sweet bean of a satyr druid there, so check it out. Other than that, Mallard Man in the chat is not biased at all, despite the fact that he has played 2 individual characters on my stream in that game specifically. But yeah, we're going to go on a raid. We're going to go send our love over to the folks at Weave the Tale. They're just on break for about 15 minutes, but go spread some love over there, spread some joy. And we will see you again very, very soon. Bye, everybody.